I'll be starting the meeting off. Maybe Rob will join in here in a minute. Rob's online from home. I see he's muted at the moment. And welcome to the, what month are we in? May, San Diego DX Club meeting. Let's see. We'll kick it off as we always do with the pledge. So lids off. Wants to kick us off. Dennis, you want to kick us off? It's to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball. All righty. So let's see. I see some new faces. Randy.
Hey,
Long time,
once a year I'm here. Yeah.
Anybody new to the club meetings? First time attending or? All right. I was going to say I didn't recognize those folks.
Trying to join, so somebody take my money.
Oh, hear that?
But I missed that.
He's trying to join if somebody would take his money.
Okay. Well, I can't remember the joining process.
Give it to Jerry.
Yeah.
2 meetings and then your money.
Their second meeting.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, okay. So we are all set. And so we just got to get that to Brian and we're good. Cool. Well, welcome. Anybody else?
Why don't you introduce him? I'll go names.
I didn't catch his name and call sign. Well, here, send this over. You can introduce.
Okay.
What's his name?
Can you miss your name?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I hope you all can because I can't hear. Anyhow, I'm Jim, November 6th Victor Hotel. Been licensed since 1972. And that's pretty much anything of interest right here. And my wife, I'm sorry, I live in Santee.
I also live in Santee, WA6HGA, Linda, licensed in 1976.
So I guess that's any other new members? I don't see everybody else looks familiar. I think. Online. Oh, wait, we got Greg WA6.
Yankee Maroon. Yeah, that's me. I've been licensed since 1975 up in Los Angeles. Had a great electronic shop teacher teaching us. Now I'm down in San Diego. Have been here for a long time in Rancho Penasquitos. Friends with Noel, AG6KA. He's been sending me invites for a while to attend. So
Oh,
I
cool.
know he's not here tonight, but I wanted to join you.
Great.
Okay.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I see any other new faces on the screen there. I see Bob. I don't think we've seen Bob before on the screen. Hey, Bob.
Hello there.
Are you talking to me again? Yeah, no, I haven't been here for a couple of months, but appreciate the invite, and I'm excited about the bash too. I thought that's great. I'm going to be there with a couple of people, so
Awesome.
count me in.
Glad to see you on there, Bob. Rob, did you have any comments on additional items or anything for the meeting?
No, I just wanted to say I'm sorry I couldn't join you guys. I'm a little bit under the weather today, and it looks like you've got a great turnout, so we may as well get started with our program tonight.
Yeah, big turnout.
Roundtable. Thanks very much.
The only other item I had on the announcements list was in case anybody hadn't seen the news, the summer bash is back on July 20th at the San Dieguito Park here in Del Mar. The afternoon, it's going to be catered. Was it Phil's Barbecue
Rob?
Yes, it's Phil's.
Yep.
And I actually have 20 flyers that I was going to bring to the meeting tonight that I printed up, but I'll put it out as a massive blast to the entire club. And it's Phil's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going to have baby back ribs, and I guess I shouldn't tell you guys as you're eating dinner now. Barbecue chicken, corn on the cob, coleslaw, potato salad, assorted pies, and what else? And soft drinks, sodas, and water. It's a BYOB for alcohol, any beer or wine. The park does not allow anything over 20% alcohol content, so no hard liquor. And parking is $5, but since it's a county park, anyone over 62 gets to park for free. And we have at our area, which is Area 4, we've got designated handicap parking for quite a number. So I think we should have adequate parking over there. But
Great.
it should be fun.
San Dieguito County Park. Yep. It's where Park used to have their summer meetings or picnics.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact address, but yeah. 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 It's a nice park. Okay. Well, with that, Tom K7YMG is going to do his chat about the significance of signal to noise ratio and also entree into HF digital voice. So here you go, Tom.
Okay, I'm Tom. Let's see. This is what I look like. So I'm going to be out of the picture anyway because I'm going to give the presentation. So okay, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hear on Zoom too much because Zoom has signal processing that does noise cancellation. So when I play some of these things, it's probably going to just wipe it out. But you'll have to bear with us. The local people here will probably be able to hear it okay. So we'll get started here in a second. So why don't you, we're going to bring up the presentation. It'll take a minute. And I started doing this as a way to kind of tell people how to, what is significant about communications. In other words, yeah, you can have 1,500 watts, you can have a 100-foot tower and a log periodic with a 50-foot boom, and that's probably going to be good. But if you want to operate voice, that's the minimum. And you need 1,500 watts. So, but I hope to show you today why that's not necessarily needed. So why don't you do the first one? Okay, we're going to do a little history to begin with, and then we're going to move into the real stuff. So next slide. Okay, I only put this in. She doesn't have anything to do with this, but she was one of the first mathematicians that became a software engineer and worked with Babbage on his calculating engine. And she also determined that ones and zeros work just as good as other numbers. But she also used the Jacquard Loom punch cards to program.
Tom, before you get too far along, can someone share your screen with the Zoom people? We're not seeing this screen.
Right.
Okay, sorry, hold on. Technical difficulty. You need to get back to Zoom and share screen. Okay, now somewhere down the bottom is no, the bottom, no, not that, the bottom of Zoom. So get on Zoom. Okay, now down here somewhere. No, you're going back. Okay. One of these icons up above.
It's a little green button that says share.
Okay, that's good.
Ta-da.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now
All
you
right.
want to minimize these. Okay, can you guys see that now?
Yeah, we're just fine.
Okay, why don't you back up one slide, couple of slides? Just do the back arrow. No, maybe not. Okay, click on this one. Okay, now do function F5.
That's good.
Okay. You can still see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, go to the next slide. Okay, we were talking about ADA there, so back up one. The reason I like ADA is because if you've ever bought any electronic parts from Adafruit, Ada is this woman. Fruit, you can probably figure out what that means. But she runs this store in New York City and builds all kinds of components and microcontrollers. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This, huh? Yeah, there was some military version of that. Right. Okay, so this is the guy that's the god of communications. And he died only recently here in 2012, I think. But in 1948, he wrote a breakthrough paper and proved what the minimum signal to noise ratio is for transmission of any data, no matter what the signal processing, no matter what the format. And so this guy he worked at Bell Labs and then was a professor at MIT. As all these guys are, they like to do other things too. So he wrote a Rubik's Cube solver and built a chess computer before IBM ever got around to it. Anyway, he used to ride around on a unicycle and juggle while he was going down the hall. So anyway, this guy is the guy that figured it out. Okay, next slide. Okay, a lot of this, what I'm going to say tonight is in the literature, but also I used PA3FWM as a foundation because he wrote a similar article for their magazine Electron in Europe. So signal to noise ratio is the total signal power versus the total noise power in any given channel. But we'll see another way to look at that. In amateur radio, a lot of times the basic radio is about 2,500 hertz bandwidth because it's mainly for SSB. Okay, so when you're running FT8, FT8 tells you the signal strength, but it's really not signal strength, it's signal to noise ratio. And the bandwidth is referenced to 2,500 hertz. Okay, so when FT8 says that you've got a minus 10 dB signal, that's related to 2,500 hertz, but it's really 18 dB higher because the signal processing bandwidth is 50 hertz. So when it says minus 10, it really means plus 8. So we'll go through that a little bit more. One of the things is that JT9 is a little more narrow band and has a slower bit rate. And so it can do things better than FT8 if you're willing to wait. Okay, next slide. Okay, so comm systems engineers over the years have figured out a kind of a normalizing function here so that you can compare one system to another. And I refer to it as EB over N0 or EBNO for short. Okay, it's energy per bit versus the total noise in the band or noise in 1 hertz bandwidth. That way you can just add or subtract dBs to go from wider bandwidth to less bandwidth. Okay, so the energy per bit is in joules, which is really easy to calculate. It's not a big deal. So here is an example, FT8, and I didn't pick the lowest number because I wanted a number that FT8 would receive without an issue. So minus 22 is kind of a nominal signal level. and in 25 at 2500 hertz bandwidth and 6.1 bits per second, the EB over N0 is 4 plus 4 dB. Okay, now this may not mean anything until we get to the next one, but if you take JT9, and I couldn't get all the perfect details on JT9 because I couldn't find any place where it says how many bits this thing is transmitting. So in any case, you can see that FT8 is plus 4 and JT9 is minus 1.2. Okay, so JT9 is going to work better. So go to the next slide. Okay, so no. Okay, go back. Okay, you see FT8 is receiving minus 22 dB signal. JT9 is receiving minus 29. Okay. All right, so go to the next slide. So here's what Claude Shannon proved, is it's impossible to transmit bits without error if the EB over N0 is less than minus 1.9, 59 or 1.6, no matter what the modulation, coding, or signal processing. So that's the absolute ground floor. Okay, so Shannon wrote this paper in 1948, just after World War II. And so that's how old this is. So all of what we know today in radio between 1850 and 1950, it's all the same stuff. The only difference is we built better electronics. We've added microprocessors and stuff like that. But the basics are still the same. Okay, so let's look at the schemes we know as hams. Next slide. Okay, now SSB, this is analog, so it's a little bit difficult to convert to digital, but let's say, according to what I find on the internet, people say it's pretty much 35 bits per second. Okay, is the intelligibility that's being transmitted, because people are going, Okay, so you see that EB over N0, well, first of all, the minimum SW or SNR for a good voice and be able to understand people and recognize them is plus 12 dB signal to noise ratio. Okay, but the EBNO means it's calculated to be 30. Okay, Morse code at 20 words a minute is about 17 bits. It's almost like SSB voice, so it's 29. And 12 words a minute you'd think would be a little better, but it's really not that much better. And all of this depends on human copy. And I picked these signal to noise ratios to begin with because that's what I could copy. Okay, and I'm pretty bad at it. So, okay, so voice, Morse code kind of suck. FT8 is really good at 4.1 because it can go down a lot lower. JT9 is 0.08 because I assumed a little bit lower dBs here. And then PSK31, which some of you have probably operated, that's BPSK at 31 baud, which is 31 bits per second. That's actually pretty good. It's not quite as good as FT8, but it's faster. So it's 9.1. And then Whisper, again, this is one of those where I couldn't get all the details, but Whisper has a lot of error detection and correction. So it's a little bit of a misnomer to say so many bits per second, but what I finally figured out is it's about half a bit per second. But it's which means it's still up around 8.4, which is around you know, if you really look at an information rate, it's still not as good. Okay, now let's say we were at Goldstone and we had the 110-foot dish and we were talking to Voyager, and our bit rate is a thousandth of a bit per second. Okay, and we're doing BPSK and we've got minus 57 dB signal to noise. we're not going to do too good, but we got such a huge antenna, we're intercepting a huge amount of RF. And so right now it would be capable of -7. And remember, Claude was at -1.59. So with that kind of a rig, that's the best you can do. FT4 is going to be worse than FT8 because the bits per second are faster. So that averages out the data, I mean, the power more. Yeah, it's probably 1 or 2 dB. Yeah, something like that. It's not really that, it's not that much different, but it is wider bandwidth too. So it's, I don't know, a little over, FT8's 50 hertz and FT4 is probably almost 100. Yeah. Okay, so next slide. Okay, now this is some pictures off my Flex, and it may be a little confusing for you, but this is basically a spectrum analyzer presentation. So horizontally across is frequency and vertically is power. Okay, now you see that the noise components are pretty low there, and they're I don't know, they're probably running around 100, -100 or something. But when you add all of that power up in that bandwidth, it's the square root of the sum of the squares, it's -92 dBm. And that is about S4 or S5. Okay. So it's pretty noisy when you look at it that way. And if you look at the top there, right underneath the frequency, you can see that it says -92 there because the S meter is looking at the total power, not just the incremental pieces of it. Okay. So -92 is reflected in that stuff going across. Now, when you drop the bandwidth, of course, the amount of total power is much lower. And this thing was bouncing around a lot. I said it's -110. It says up there on the screen about -107. So it's in that range, but it's just a little piece of the spectrum. And you can see the light blue line there. That's indicating the actual bandwidth. Okay, so when you're looking at this display, you think the noise level is down there, but it really isn't. It's the total power that you got to worry about. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is just some FT8 on 10 meters, and the red line is the total noise power for this screenshot. So all of those bigger signals that go above the red line have positive signal to noise ratio, and everything below that is going to be a minus number when you get the signal report. Okay, let's go one more. Okay, so now you know this. We all know this about FT8, but what do we want to do? You know, if I'm like you guys, I like to talk to people. I don't necessarily like to use bits. So so how are we going to make voice any better? Well, because voice is 25 to 100 to 3,000 hertz bandwidth. It needs a human with good hearing to decode it. And the normal spec for industrial is 12 dB SINAD for the minimum signal to noise that can work. SINAD means signal to noise plus distortion to noise. Okay, so the peak to average for voice is 10 to 15 dB. That means when I'm talking like this, but I say check, then that's 10 to 15 dB. Okay, so 10 to 15 dB is 10 to 32 to 1 in linear. Okay, so intelligibility is contained in frequencies above 2000. So if you want that DX station to hear you, he better be hearing those higher frequencies. Now, I've seen people shift their voice frequency so it sounds like a transistor radio from the 60s. And actually, that's pretty good for communications because you're getting the high frequencies, which are giving you the intelligibility. Right. So now, as we said, it's about 30 dB EBNO. So go to the next slide. Okay, now what can we do? Well, of course, the obvious thing is up the power. Okay, we need a voice compressor so that it gets the peak to average down to maybe 3 and have a nice clear voice and talk loud. EQ the mic so it sounds like the transistor radio. Use a headset with a noise canceling mic, which is it gets rid of all the noise in the background when you're talking, and have a really big, huge antenna. I don't know about you, but I haven't room in my yard for 100-foot tower and a log periodic. So this brings up a point that if Bob LaRose was here, he worked for Harris RF back in the 70s. And Harris was producing 10 kilowatt radios, SSB. Okay, that's so the people in Vietnam could talk to the Westpac on one of the carriers. Okay, or talk to the State Department in DC. Now that means running 10 kilowatts in a big log periodic. You can probably talk to them anytime you want, regardless of the conditions. But even that, if it really gets bad, 10 kW isn't going to do that much because it's 4 hops from Vietnam to California and another hop to go to DC. So, okay, well, what can we do? So next slide. Okay, so let's say we went digital. So if I take 8-bit samples at 6,000 hertz, so I have the Nyquist 2-to-1 there. That's 48 kilobits per second. Well, you know, I don't think that's going to help. Transmitting 48 kilobits is going to be even wider bandwidth. It sucks. Okay, so even with BPSK and a low, to get a good EBNO, then we need to do something else. So like cell phones now, cell phones and other communication devices use a codec, and that codec is doing something a lot different than it does for just digitizing voice. So the codec on the transmit end is sampling your voice, and then it's only transmitting the bits that represent your voice. And then the codec on the other end receives those few bits and sets itself to generate a voice that sounds like you. Okay, that's kind of the way the cell phone works. I don't remember whether they're still using what they call KELP or one of these other compression algorithms, but that's the basics of a cell phone. Coder decoder or encoder decoder. It's like a modem. Well, it sort of has one. It's a little different. It's not digitizing anything analog. It's actually generating bits and sending them out that way. So it's a little different than what we're talking about here. Okay, so now we've got this codec, and what that means is instead of 48 kilobits, we're probably gonna get away with about 1,500 bits per second. Okay, that means we can squeeze the bandwidth down, and because the codec works a certain way, it's a little less susceptible to interference and things of that sort. So it'll be a little bit better. And people are working on this as we speak. There's one guy there's a couple guys here in California, a couple in Australia and so forth that have been working on this. And so now if we did all of this, we could get the voice down to an EBNO of about 8, which is pretty good. You know, I mean, you're talking PSK 31, something like that. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, now this is going to be unfortunate for the people on Zoom because Zoom has some signal processing, but I'm going to play a couple of files here, and they'll probably sound reasonable here at locally, but over the Zoom you probably may not hear anything because it'll cancel it out thinking it's noise. So stand by 1 second. Okay, this first one is just a demonstration of analog voice. It's the one on the left here. Now, what I'll do is I'll have Jerry do the first one, but I'll play. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, why don't you go ahead? Just click on it. No, maybe not. Okay, that's all right. Let me play it here. Okay, what we're going to hear first is a, huh? No, you don't want, you got to go back. Just leave it on the, yeah, leave it there. Okay, so what we're going to hear first is just a strong voice and a weak voice. And there's no interference, it's just noise in the background. So I wanted you to hear what it's like, which you already know, but I mean, it gives a purpose.
Delta 7, Quebec, Delta Lima. Kilo Delta 7, Quebec, Delta Lima.
Okay, what we're going to see this next one is two high power stations talking to each other, and I'll turn the radio noise canceling on and off just so you get an idea what's going on. Okay, now these guys are speaking Spanish, but okay, there's noise canceling. Now the problem with noise canceling is it's going to cancel some of the voice. Okay, here, let me okay, if you look at the left screen up here, ignore those two little peaks. It's just some interference. But you see the spectrum of the voice, and over towards the left is where most of the power is. And over towards the right is the intelligibility, and you can see the power level is a lot less. So that's the problem when you're trying to talk over ham radio. If you don't have the intelligibility, you're not going to make a good connection. Okay, now these guys always run power. I hear them on all the time. They're Mexican, but one guy's in Texas and the other guy's somewhere in Mexico. And they'll do this for about an hour because it's like talking, for them, it's like talking on the phone. So, but they run power so that it is clear for them and easier to work with. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now I'm gonna play. This is digital voice. So what the thing is this is like an app like FT8. So you could get this app and do it yourself. The difference is it's still audio in and out of your radio going to the computer, but you need a headset on the computer and you need a foot switch. and I don't know actually where these guys actually operate, but I suspect it's down around where FT8 is, because it's something that it's not real voice, so you know, it's more of a digital mode. But anyway, it's one of these things like there's a little bit of signal processing. So like when you're talking on your cell phone, there's like a 2-second delay. And if you ever stood by somebody that you're talking to and talked in the phone and then heard what they heard, you'd know that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play two two things. This was a test that these guys run. There was a guy in Texas, and he's the transmitter, and he's running 25 watts. Okay, and then that's analog, and then he's gonna switch to digital, same power. And the signal is recorded in Australia. So it's a long link. And there's all kinds of fading and anomalies. So you'll see what happens when we play it. Yeah, I don't remember which one this was on, but I got a feeling. Yeah, it's HF. Okay, let me play the first one. Okay, the first one is analog. It's K7YMG. Okay, so that's analog voice at 25 watts. Here's analog voice at digital voice at 25 watts.
K7YMG testing. 1, 2, 3, auto encoder. She sells seashells down by the seashore. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. K7YMG.
Now you can see there's some little weird things going on there, but it's no different than when your phone goes into Yeah. So now, didn't you think that was a big difference? And if you look at the screen here, you can see that the application shows you the bandwidth that it's using. And you can see that's pretty close to 1500 hertz. Now, I haven't tried this, but they've just released a new version, and the new version has a better codec in it, so to speak, the thing that encodes and decodes. And so I suspect it's probably a little better. I'm kind of waiting until they get the bit rate down a little more just to see. But I've actually, in the 80s, the military was doing some work with digital. Okay, I heard a recording of 600 bit per second voice. You could perfectly understand the guy, but you would never know who it was. So that's the difference. Okay, so with a really good codec that you don't care that you can recognize somebody, but you can understand them, you could squeeze that bandwidth even more and get better performance. So I think so. What's going to happen is, well, probably it's going to take a while for radio hardware to catch up. But you can do this like we do FT8, and you can start playing with it. And like I said, huh? No, it's just software. It runs on your computer, takes audio in and out from your radio, just like the FT8. But you need a foot switch and a headset. And you probably need, I don't know, you just need to get used to it. It's like FT8, everybody took a while to get used to that. But it's got some signal processing delay. So when you key the radio, you wait a second just so that the sync takes place, and then you start talking. Apparently, yeah, I've heard a couple on, or at least I've seen the waveform. So there's people on, and if you look around near where the FT8 bands are, just tune around a little bit, you'll probably see them on there. But if you had this thing, then you could at least listen, even though you don't want to transmit, and see what you think. So I'd encourage you to do it. I think it's the next step, because even though how many people have a new Flex Aurora? That would be great if they had this. Well, yeah, for this mode here, it's 1500 hertz. You don't need 3000.
The actual
actual modulation scheme? Is it multiple, like QPSK?
Well, in sending the bits, I suppose it's probably BPSK, like PSK 31. That's what sends the bits, and they send them at 1500 bits per second or something like that. And then they rearrange it together through the other codec at the other end, and it sounds like you. But the whole idea of this is that the codec isn't transmitting 48 kilobits per second, because you'd never get anywhere. It's only transmitting the little things that make your voice sound like you. Okay. And those few bits go to the other one, and that makes it sound like you at the other end. And as you could hear, there's very little background noise, because it doesn't, it doesn't process that kind of information. Okay. Well, I don't know. I suppose the FCC is wondering what to do, but knowing them, they'll never figure it out. So I would just say it's a digital mode. So operate where people run digital mode, so just find a place nearby FT8.
Right on the SS.
Yeah. Yeah, put it right on top of FT8. It'll take out about half the band. But I see other modulation schemes on the radio lately, and one of them looks like OFDM. And that's the more complex the signal, the better requirements for signal to noise. So like going over the cable, it's QAM 64 or something like that. That needs 30 dB signal to noise just to get the bits through. So, those kind of things are great for getting a lot of information from here to there in the minimum amount of time. But if you just want to talk to somebody, it's a lot different. So any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Two buttons on my radio. One says noise blanker and one says noise reduction.
Okay, noise blankers for what used to be ignition noise. Okay, noise reduction is actually reducing the signal to noise ratio, or increasing it, I mean. But the trouble with noise canceling is it gets rid of some of the higher frequency components. But it sounds more like this than like that.
Really proud of CW band, when I put in, can't remember which it is now, either the noise reduction or noise blank, all of a sudden things get, the really big signals sort of capture everything else.
Yeah.
So it generates a hash.
Yeah. When you got a weak CW signal, don't turn on noise canceling, because on my Flex I have a little advantage, because I usually run about 140 hertz bandwidth for Morse code. So it gets rid of a lot of that stuff, but still it's an on-off signal. So the noise canceller doesn't know what to do with that. So.
I noticed also you're playing with noise blanking and noise reduction. Your ADC level has a massive impact on how effective those noise blanking noise cancellation. So you can turn down the ADC, it makes the audio come down, but it also against the headroom that the noise blanking and noise reduction needs to do its.
Yeah, in fact, for my radio, Flex puts out a thing about how to set your RF gain. And so what you do is you turn it all the way up, then you run it down until to you it sounds like half the noise level. So you do this on a channel that has no signals in it. So for me, the pot goes from 0 to 100. So I usually run right around 40 or 50. And that works really good because you're not bringing up the noise with the signal. So AGC, automatic gain control. On HF radios, you have such a huge amount of dynamic range that you have to use AGC. So if you bring the noise up, that's going to suppress the gain. And so operating just right down there about halfway is a good spot. So that works even better with CW. Okay.
Such things and the correction with audio?
No, you got to digitize it or do something like that. There's a lot of overhead with things like that. So, that brings up a thing like everybody likes Wi-Fi, right? Well, Wi-Fi will never be as fast as Ethernet. And the reason is they use a rate 1/2 code. So even though they're transmitting 100 megabits, only 50% of that is information. The rest of it is encoding for the channel and error detection and correction. So Ethernet's way better because it only has a checksum and some other stuff. So when you say you're doing 100 megabits on Ethernet, you're really getting 100 megabits. So anyway, Wi-Fi is convenient though. I wish I could tell you that, but I'll send you. I'll have Jerry send it. But there's a thing. Actually, if you go to ARRL, there's a whole paper on this digital voice, and it shows all of the people that have been involved. There's 3 or 4 people from California, a couple guys in Canada, and 3 or 4 people in Australia. Actually, the guy in Australia has is doing a lot of work on it because I think he's a comm engineer anyway. So he does it for a hobby and he does it for for a job. So, but yeah, so it's getting better. So if they can get the bit rate down even more by going to a different kind of codec, then that may be the way to go. Because you don't need studio quality voice. You just need to understand people and kind of recognize them. So that's what the old AMers used to love, studio quality. You got to have that bass. Well, that's not where the information is. Yeah, I don't know how that would be recognized by ARRL, but you're talking to somebody, so intentionally it's voice going in and voice coming out to you. So I guess that, yeah. Right. Yeah, I can just wait for, well, you remember AM was ancient modulation and single sideband was slop bucket. So so anyway, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Okay, let's see if let's go back to Zoom directly. Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's a need for that. Okay, if anybody's got a question on Zoom, just unmute and say what you want to say. Okay. By the way, so if maybe Rob or somebody could tell me how the audio sounded at your end when I was playing those files.
The digital signal came through. The analog signals were completely clipped off.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I thought there was just noise, so it processed it out. Sorry about that, but anyway, you got to hear the digital voice, which is quite amazing, actually. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Yeah, unmute in Australia and ask your question. Oh no, that's just never mind. That's the mouse.
I got 100% of it. No questions.
Okay. All right. Any others? All right. Well, thank you very much and for listening.
Thanks.
I guess at this point, we'll go ahead and start the roundtable. And I'm going to start it over there with John. And, we'll rotate the mic around that side.
That's somebody babysitting at home. Anyway, John, N6WSD, haven't been doing too much. Trying to put together field day for Poway Lake, and anybody wants to come up, then come up and visit us. It's on field day weekend, starting at the normal field day times. Anyway, with that, I'll pass it over to somebody that everybody knows.
Oh, N6KI, Dennis. See, contesting. For those of you who have not seen it, which is probably nobody in the room. No. I will be at the Escondido Amateur Radio Club meeting on June 12th. That's a Thursday night. I think it's off of 9th Street and 9th Avenue and I-15, right behind their Mercedes-Benz dealer. Is that right? What's that building? Something bank. Yeah, big office building. And I see you must get in there. They open the doors for like a half hour to get in. 6:45 till about 6:15. Yeah, but I mean, then you have to call somebody upstairs to let you in if you're locked out. Anyway, I will be giving my Vietnam Mars presentation, Dog and Pony Show, which was redone about 2 years ago. So those that have seen it 5 or 6 or years ago, it'll be a little more different and somewhat exciting, I think. Okay. Anyway, hope to see you there. Escondido Amateur Radio Society, June 12th, Thursday night.
I don't have anything.
Well, just introduce yourself.
Well, announce your poll.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, N6KI.
Yes. This is N6KIM, Joan.
Completes the call, you know. Hi, Jim K6ZH. So 2 contest activities this last month. We were at our place in Goldfield, Nevada, the first weekend in May, and we operated in 7QP, 7th Area QSO Party. We did okay, and the we this year was a guy who used to be in this club. His name is Bill, and he's on N7 Victor Mike, and he lives in Fallbrook. Any of you guys know him? Yeah. Okay. So, okay, yeah, he lives very close to Nashville, actually, yeah. So I never met the guy, and he beat me in sweepstakes last year, and I was wondering who the heck is this guy? And so we bumped into him in Visalia, and so I ended up inviting him to come up to Goldfield. He did. We did okay. We made a little over 1,000 Qs in the 7QP, and we were multi-single or second place, but we lost to one of those mega stations in Arizona, so I don't feel bad about that. Did a little WPX last weekend on CW. I just decided to do 15 meters only. Conditions were remarkable. It was open to Europe for hours, and I was even working Europeans at 10 p.m. So but there was nothing on 10 meters, no Europe on 10. That's why I decided to just do the one. And on field day, I'm going to be at Point Loma Radio Club on Point Loma with Rick N6CY et al. I think we'll be W6A.
Mike, N6MB. We just got back yesterday from our trip to Dayton. It was great. We had a great time out there. The presentations were excellent. We went to 3 different dinners on our trip out there. The first one was the ARL donors dinner for anybody that's donated enough money to the ARL. Next night was the DX dinner, where they announced some interesting awards that the IDXC is going to give. And the last night was contest dinner, so they talked about the world's greatest contesters and gave what was it, the contester of the year or something? I don't remember. Wall of Fame. Yeah, all overall was great time, great weather. It rained one night really hard, but didn't make it muddy or anything, which is always the complaint I've heard about Zinni. You have to park on grass, so could get nasty. Swap meet was kind of small this year compared to last time I went to Dayton, which was what, about 2018 or something. But yeah, it was fun, and then I visited relatives in Chicago for the rest of the time.
Gail, K6GO, and just echoing everything Mike said, and also give a big plug to, there was a YL forum, and there was almost 100 women there. Yeah, it was very, very close to that number. It was really, yeah, it was excellent. And what other notes did I write myself to make sure I mention? Oh, we ran into Hector and he said there may be news this year about Mexico's Lexi One's license program. So we're not holding our breath, but I thought I should share that. And but I meant to come over and talk to you. We talked to some people, especially in DEXA. If you need information about programs, they would be glad to help the club out, especially since we can Zoom. And Bob, are you still up there? Okay, the article that was so good. The geopolitical about entities and Russia and what might happen with Ukraine. I just thought that was so thoughtfully done in terms of we don't know what the answer is, but let's all start thinking about it. So other than that, it was great. The AWR reception was just very fabulous and classy and and since Bernie McClenny could not be there, he asked me to take some notes. And so in the weekly DX next week, I'll be having 2 articles. So there.
Hi, Linda, WA6HGA. I'm here for dinner.
But I'm here in 60H and I had my little speech just a little bit ago. I will say I was in the WPX contest this weekend. Now, I'm not a good contester these days. All I had was a green vertical, it was still a vertical. And I made a little less than 200 contacts, but I had fun and conditions were good.
Tom, N6JOJ. I've got radio problems, so I haven't worked anything recently. And these applications on a $20 check, who does that go to? Does it go to the treasurer or the... Well, I know, but he gave me, I picked up the club credit card tonight.
Okay.
My Tom's dinner, but he didn't eat.
He didn't eat.
I've got to take the credit card back to his daughter. I can drop that off too. Okay.
You can.
There you
go. Tom?
Yeah.
Tom's Brian, the treasurer. Just go ahead, gather up what you got there, and give it to my daughter. And what she'll do is she'll send me the stuff if they're doing cash, a cash deposit. If they want to do PayPal is always the best for joining. And but we have to come to a second meeting, get voted in, but we can get the process started. What's that?
This is their second meeting.
Oh, okay. Then somebody there, probably the vice president, needs to put up a vote to accept them into the club, and so we can make it official. And then get the applications to my daughter, and she'll get it to me, and I'll get them dispersed. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for everything you're doing for me, Tom. I really appreciate it, and Jerry too.
When it comes to new business. Okay.
Hello, this is Donald with N6 PTF. I really don't have much to report this month. Things have been slow. Your turn.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ray, WA6NVL, and I have nothing to report, but thank you very much for informative discussion tonight, Tom.
This is very good brief. This is K6RSH, Steve. I'm currently down. Microsoft did an update to my computer. I can transmit, but I cannot receive through the computer. And then I broke my arm and I had a 6-hour surgery and I'm down on opioids and I feel like, you know what, right now. So hopefully in a week or two, I'll be back up on the air, but I won't be able to drive for 2 months.
You just
Danny AF6 Joe, getting back on there after 2 or 3 year hiatus, and coming back to the meetings now. So yeah, just getting started back up again and looking forward to it.
Steve K6OV, and about the only activity I've worked this month has been Kosovo. And I worked on 3 days, but I'm not sure if it's the talk by W3LPO, but after talking about the sunspot cycle waning, I'm telling you, the bands to me seem dead. Now I know that I know that's not necessarily the case, but things have been really slow, and I suspect it'll be pretty much that way throughout the summer. I'm still working on DXCC. I'll get there eventually. Tom, W09. No?
Gotta talk to us and then that microphone's little.
Yeah, W09. Working on DXCC still, but better late than never, right? So, yeah. So anyway, CW and sideband, no digital notes. I'm bound determined to do it that way, the old-fashioned way, right? So, anyway, Randy.
Thanks, Tom. Randy, KS6DGU, and welcome to Jim, another musician. And I also use a stepper vertical, three dozen radials, works really well with that. Active on the GordoNet every weekday morning, 7250. Ray is a regular. Really busy on the Midway. 2 weeks ago, we had our annual Armed Forces Day crossband test. Big success. 20 meters was open all over the country, including Alaska, Florida, and Vermont. It was amazing. Last weekend we did a Boy Scout Radio Merit Badge class, so we're getting kids. This was a group from Arizona that came over, scouts from Arizona, and this coming weekend is the museum ship weekend, and NI6IW USS Midway will be on the air both days, Saturday and Sunday, and some of us will be on the ship, and some of us will also be at Point Loma, W6RDF, that Jim knows about. Here you go, Mark.
Thank you. KA6IT, Mark. Like Jim said, the band was great this weekend, and it's a lot like comedy that timing's everything, because the solar coronal mass ejections were really high before and shut the bands down, and they were really high after, and they're still there. And that's why everything's been shut down, is because they've been high enough that my friends that are in nuclear physics, they can detect it on the neutron detectors, and to get that kind of penetration to turn off the stuff through shielding, it's yeah, the band conditions are not so good then, but it's going to quiet down.
I am Lou, KW6Q. Not much operating, just kind of in the background as a numerous stuff in the office. I did want to Levi. What's Levi's last name? I noted, and Levi, young guy. He was like second in the country for his age. We had to get him on here on the club, I guess. Oh, was he? Okay, great. Yeah, good guy.
We've got him. We're working on getting him in for a presentation. Yeah.
Yes. There ain't anybody young here.
Yeah, but I have been in contact with him, and he has agreed. He has agreed to do a presentation for us, but he's working on putting something together. So I don't know if he has a job during the day or is going to school, but he's, so I figured he's got life working around him to squeeze us in. So
Well, these young guys as gamers, you think they might enjoy contesting.
And he's our local wonder kid.
yeah. Bud 86BH, I've had a pretty good couple of weeks here. I got the TX9 on a whole bunch of bands, and I lucked out with one single contact with the ZS8W down there south of Africa. He was tough. 40 FT8 after pushing, and he only had about an hour to 2 hour window at 11 to 12 at night to get the guy. Any other time of day, he was just absolutely unobtainium, but he was there, and I got him. So, and I got my token contact yesterday with TX5U on CW on 17 meters. So he's going to be active for the next couple of weeks probably. So, and the other guy, the Hawaii KH, he's over there in Polynesia, someplace, I think.
Wake Island. Wake Island.
Yeah, Wake Island. Yeah, he's been tough to track down because he's only on sporadically, and he does publish when he's going to be on and what he's going to be doing when he's on, but it's kind of been tough to catch up with him.
So, but otherwise, I think DXing wise has been pretty good.
Okay. Wait. I'm so glad this is working. Okay, so I've been on travel a lot in the last 3 weeks, so nothing going on at my QTH. But we'll be getting back into it here shortly. Especially got to get a couple antennas to work on, so we'll get that working. I'm just so elated that this is working in here so well. Maybe not the operator, but anyhow, great. Okay.
Hi, this is Tom again. There I am. Anyway, we had that guy talking about the DXCC every year or whatever. Well, I tried doing it. So I worked 100 countries, actually 110 countries by April, starting in January. But of course, only 86 of them QSL'd. So I didn't really make it, but it was kind of fun. Anyway, I had kind of a background story. You guys probably know W6KH, right? Okay. Well, he and I lived in Seattle when we were growing up. And I lived in the north end of Seattle, and he lived about 10 miles south of me. But at that time, his call sign was W7WBE. So I had a 60-foot tower and a 4-element beam on 20 running 2 kW. And so I was working everybody all over the world. It was a lot of fun. But whenever he got on the air, I had to shut down because the real reason was he was running 10 kW. And he burned 2 pole transformers off the pole. And City Lights said, we're going to put you in jail next time. He had a 4CX 10,000 or something like that he was running. Anyway, it was just kind of fun because, this friend of mine and myself, we got our cam calls at the same time. And my friend lived up the street about a block. And he had a 4-element beam on 20. So we'd get on the phone patch. And either one of us would call CQ from both stations at the same time. So we were making a lot of contacts because we had diversity, and you could hear the guy on one and I wouldn't hear him on the other and stuff like that. So that's what people did when we were kids, Anyway, thank you very much for your attention.
Oh, a comment.
Thanks. Talking about kids and gamers, one of the discussion points in the contesting forum, I believe it was in Visalia, the DX convention, was run a real-time scoreboard so that you can see all the stations as they pass each other and they drop back and they switch bands and their strategy and all this stuff for the gamers to see as it rolls up. So that was an interesting thing to be discussing. Yeah. Worldwide, what is it? Yeah, it's coming up next year. It's in England next year. Right, and they have the same set. They have the same setup. They have exactly the same radios and antennas. It's all about operating skill.
I think Axel and Marshall are trying to go again, aren't they?
Yeah, they're.
Yeah.
You don't plan to go, you get invited to go.
Well, no, you have to earn it. I mean, they have to, yeah.
They have to accept to go.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, you guys online can say your piece. You want to do Steve in Australia?
Okay, good evening, everybody. I've really enjoyed this, and congratulations, applause to Jerry on the camera operator. Boy, that's a great job you're doing. He's got that remote zooming left and right and in and out. It's really a pleasure to see you
As long as
guys.
somebody wakes me up.
No, that's really good. Hey, this is fun for me to see some old friends I haven't seen in ages. Bob, AK6R, you won't remember me, but 20 years ago, I spent a good part of a weekend out on Point Loma with you on the club field day, and you gave me tips on how to tie ropes, how to not invest in the stock market, stuff like that. It was a great time, and it's nice to see you. It's been 20 years. Good to see you. Let's see, Dennis, N6KI. Dennis, I haven't seen your smiling face in probably 2 years, but we work each other in all the major contests. And I think when we do a lot of emailing too. So it's great to see you, Dennis. And Joan and Jim Price there, nice to.
You're paused. You're muted. You're muted. Steve.
Did you hear anything I said?
There you go.
Zoom has got now where you have to hold the space bar down. You can't just click it to stay on. So I don't know where I got cut off and all of that. Anyway, Joan and Jim, nice to see you. Jim, your propagation comments were accurate here too. Gail and Mike, you look great there. Nice to see you. Always a pleasure. And who am I forgetting? Oh, in the contest last weekend, the WPX, I was thrilled to work. John Barcroft turned up in there. I haven't seen him in years, and I think he seems like he's kind of retired from things, but he gave me a serial number somewhere around 100. So he's still in there. That was good. And I had a good run. I had 1,100 Qs and 2 million points, and that was a really good run from down here. The 10 meters into Europe was pounding in here, Jim. I think you said you didn't have it, but from Australia, it was pounding in. So that's it. Thanks for letting me join you, and hope to see you sometime.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Tom, thanks very much. That was a wonderful talk. When these talks stretch your mind a bit, it staves off Alzheimer's. So I hope everyone keeps attention during this talk. Some of it went over my head, but it was wonderful. Earlier, I heard Mike, NA6MB on 10 meters, trying to work the new A station. And by the time I got up on frequency, he was working South America. So I wonder if Mike ever got him. And then I have one brief housekeeping note. As per our bylaws, May we have to take nominations for officers for the following year. So I'll just throw it out. I sent it in the newsletter. If anyone has any interest in being a member of either the board or officers for next year, and then at the June meeting, we'll have a vote if they come forward. So if you're interested, just send me an email at wa3ihv@gmail.com. And that's all I have. Have a good evening and drive safely going home, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Greg?
Sure. Hey, I really enjoyed the meeting tonight too. Yeah, I let's see, just over the last month. Well, kind of a little background. I run a pea shooter station. I got just a rig with no PA on it. I live in an HOA environment, so I can't have an antenna hanging off my roof. I've tried hiding dipoles under the eaves, but the gutters seem to interfere with that. So I've kind of settled on a graphite vertical 24-foot long wire that I tune up on a bunch of different bands. And then take it up at nighttime, take it down during the day. Sometimes I'll leave it up on the weekends, but got to be a little cautious with the HOA. So that makes DX a little troublesome. Over the last month, I've been chasing some of the special event stations. It's the 80th anniversary of the end of the World War II in Europe. So there were a bunch of event stations in France and Great Britain. And I also was trying to chase Wake Island on FT8. I saw you'd published a time at 7 p.m. UTC, and I had to do some mental gymnastics trying to figure out, well, what blooming time is that San Diego time? And finally figured it out, I thought, at midnight. And he's across the date line. So, and he was running Fox and Hounds mode on FT8, which I'd never run. And so I had to fumble with that at midnight, half asleep, trying to figure out how to make that work. When I finally got it working and I saw the 1,000 stations at least trying to talk to him, I go, well, there's no way he's going to hear me. gave it a whirl for about an hour and said, "Yep, not gonna work." But it was fun, trying. The attempt is kind of part of the fun of it. Speaking of attempts, I'll poke a little fun at myself. So I'm glad I'm here at the right time, at the right scheduled event. When I read the bulletin from last month, I somehow had the notion that it was the last Wednesday of the month. Well, there were 5 Wednesdays last month. So I showed up on the 5th Wednesday, and where is everybody? So I'm glad I got it right this month. So anyway, having a lot of fun. It's nice to hear the stories about people chasing DX. So I just, yeah, it's a fun group, and I really enjoyed the meeting tonight. Thank you.
Hey, Greg and 6KI, can you hear me?
I sure can. Yes.
Is the rain gutter metal?
Yeah, it is a metal gutter. Yes.
Load the rain gutter. We did that at a guy's house. Don't worry about it blocking you. Actually load the rain gutter, and where there's junctions, get the maintenance guy to make sure they're connected. We did that.
Yeah, no, I've been reading up on that to try to
Okay.
figure out other ways to do it. So, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you for the suggestion, though. Yeah.
Jerry's the microphone remote too. So how about you, Ron?
Okay, good evening from the East Coast, where it's only 50 degrees tonight here in Northern Virginia. Been a great DX month. I did pick up the ZS8W on 40 meters at 11 o'clock local time on FT8. And once it's confirmed, that'll be number 331 for me. And guys, we have a Faroe Island DXpedition coming up next week, I believe, in June. And one of the members of the team is a member of the Vienna Wireless Society. I did build all the cables for that. That's one of the things I do for the club. I build all the coax cables with the connectors on it for the club, and I did it for the Faroe Island DXpedition. So that's the way I volunteered my services to that. So I'll see you guys next month. It's been a great meeting, and thanks for your talk, Tom. And back to San Diego.
Thanks, Ron. We might actually have you a beat on temperature tonight. I'm not sure. We'll see. It's kind of chilly here. So Bob, AK6R.
Well, thanks everybody. And thanks, Tom, for the talk. Even I learned something tonight. I hope everybody else did too. We got some really, really good information there that I wasn't quite aware of. And now I know why I use FT8 so much. But yeah, we've been busy as Bob up in here in Fallbrook, Bonsall area. And we've been busy in the last 2 weeks designing new antennas. I've had a lot of people want 160 meter antennas. And so we designed a 160 meter off-center fed dipole, about 260 feet long, but it works all bands 160 to 6. And we've been testing that, and people have been talking about Wake Island. Well, the first 4 stations that contacted me were from Wake Island. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And in about 6 hours, I think I've worked about 47 different countries. I just looked it up in the log, and that was on quite a few different bands. But I use FT8 because I can test out the propagation without actually having to contact people by looking at my signal reports in PSK Reporter. So you can get an idea of where things are and what the propagation is on different bands and stuff. And I agree, 10 meters was really hot this weekend. Really took off. And so was 17, as a matter of fact. It was killer. Not on the contest, but on FT8, it was really pretty good. Let's see, what else did I have here? Oh, people talking about Dayton. I went to Dayton 2 years ago. I was the guest speaker for Flex Radio. They invited me back, all expenses paid, and I did their keynote speaker on Friday night for about 700 guys at dinner time, and had a really good time there. But that was my first time at Dayton, and I understand they broke the record again this year. So I'm sorry I missed it, but maybe next year I can go and have some more fun and meet some of the folks that we've been talking to all these years, and who are one of the thousands of customers we have too. It's always fun to meet new people. And thanks for the story about teaching you how to make knots 20 years ago. I have been a sailor for a long time and I know all my knots pretty well. And I'm glad he remembered that. And we had some good times out there on the at Point Loma for the DX competitions and stuff. And let's see what else. Oh, I'm looking forward to the bash. Haven't been to one for quite a long time, and since we've been having it at John's and Encinitas, so this will be fun. I look forward to seeing everybody in person. I'll be there with probably a couple other people, and thanks for inviting all of us, and thanks for having the event. And 73s to everybody. I'll listen out for a while and hope to see you on the bands. This is AK6R, over and clear.
Thanks, Bob. Bill and 6RV there.
Muted. Okay, unmuted. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I pushed the space bar. It didn't do anything. Yeah, Bill and 6RV up in Los Angeles. The biggest thing for me this month was working TX9A on 6 meters. That was a new one. You know, they're few and far between. Right now, I'm waiting for the Newey station. He only operates 10 and 6, and there hasn't been an opening to him on 6 meters yet. That would make a 2 in 1 month, which is pretty amazing. I have 234 countries worked for the year. And in May, I worked 114 because of WPX. It gives you a lot of countries. I worked 3 Bravo 8 long path on 40, ZS8W, like somebody else mentioned, 40 and 30. I caught 3 Delta Alpha Zero Alpha Golf Yankee. He was running low power to something weird. And during the WPX contest, I think he was long path too. Maybe not. No, he was short path. And then today I just worked KH8/K0NR. I don't know if you guys, they're a holiday style doing Hoda. Or is it soda? No, soda doing no. Someone's on the air. Yeah, someone's on the air in American Samoa, right? They're running 10 watts to a piece of wire. Yeah, and that took me an hour to work the guy. It was, you know, he was loud enough for me, but I guess he was probably just being inundated with stations calling him. That's about it. Oh, we have a little competition. I'm the sole survivor of the Southern California DS Club, but we have a little competition that we still have a club log group, and we have a competition among each other and as far as working as many countries per year is what we do. We do a marathon. It's a marathon, and the guy that's leading the pack for us right now is Larry K6RO. You guys probably know him or met him. I don't know if he's been to a meeting yet, but he's in Fallbrook, and he has 238 countries worked. And for the club log leaders of top 30 of them, I think it's 200 and let me see if I got it open. I'll tell you. Give me 1 second. 269 countries have been worked this year throughout the world. That's pretty good. The other sad thing is, like you talked about WPX, nothing on 10 meters. It was like dead on 10 meters. I couldn't believe how bad it was. And 15 meters was hopping. That meant that, and if you look at the solar flux index, and I've tracked that for 14 years now, it's dropped like a rock. I've never seen it drop so fast. And I think they said usually you have 2 peaks, and the first peak was a little bump that you didn't see. That was I think the southern hemisphere poles flipping, and then the northern hemisphere pole flips, and that was it. That's it. We've seen that we passed the peak already. They figure by 2027 we're going to be, hasta la vista. So get in there and work stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bill. And Brian.
Well, greetings, everyone, and great presentation tonight. Really enjoyed it. Wish I was there with you guys. I miss my friends there, and maybe just about as much I miss my banana split. But anyway, as some of you know, I've moved to Texas. I don't have any HF antennas up yet. I'm working on getting at least an end-fed half wave up so I can at least get back on the air. I got all my gear here. Everything's here. My tower's in the shed.
Had to get permits to get that thing up, but at some point we'll get that up. We desperately need somebody to become treasurer here next year because it's been difficult for me to do from Texas, and people like Tom and some others, Jerry there, have been helping me out when people want to pay cash or something. And my daughter will do. She's got a card for the club, and we'll do deposits and stuff. So it's been pretty difficult if anybody does any transactions other than PayPal for me. So anyway, so somebody who's interested in that will pass everything off. If we can know fairly soon, I'll make some time to go out there and transfer banking and that kind of stuff that has to be done. But I think Rob and Bob have gotten things together where we've moved things over where they're not in individuals' names now. They're all in the club's names. So moving things over is quite smooth, where before it's been pretty difficult. But it's not really a hard job, especially if you're there. It's just hard if you're not there. So I'm looking for somebody to replace me. I'll be happy to help you out. And you always have Randy around, the past treasurer. He was helping us even today getting something straightened out. So Randy's always there for us. So anyway, be thinking about that. Somebody's interested there in town and can do this. Not a lot of work. It's just you need to be there. So with that, wish I was there. I'm going to try to make my way out here in July. If I can make the bash, I will. But if not, I'll try to make the meeting. We're going to have a meeting that month. So anyway, so that's all I have. 73s, everybody. I'll be standing by here.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. One last point of order here for the meeting is we need a vote, club vote to vote Jim in here. Yeah. Oh, the team. Got okay. Well, it's a family deal, right? It's a so. Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
There, anybody vote online?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're in.
Welcome.
Rob, any final words from the president?
No, nothing else. Just if you're planning to come to the bash, if you could just drop me a text message or a email so I can have a number for our catering purposes. But just a rough estimate. It's not a hard and fast, but if you're planning to come and how many would be great. Thanks very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, with that, I guess we're going to adjourn. And one last call for volunteers for officers for the coming year. Always a hard thing to come up with. Okay, we're going to sign off the Zoom.
I got all my stuff. So
Okay.